It might seem really unfair to make the comparison between Qanga and Star Citizen. While they're both indie projects, one is clearly much more polished and feature-rich than the other, with a workforce of hundreds instead of a handful, and with a significantly higher budget. Thing is though, there's incredibly few games out there that deliver on being a completely seamless open-world space game. By that I mean going from planet surface to upper atmosphere to open space, and all the way back down again, without any sort of loading screen. Just this bit is done by so few games because of how hard it is to actually do. And the fact that the Qanga devs are able to do this with Unreal Engine of all things is honestly kind of impressive. But it also means the comparison between the two games is basically impossible to avoid. Another comparison we can't help but make are the visual similarities. There's just so many in-game assets that practically mirror the ones found in Star Citizen, like simple touch panels. Or how about the spaceship? Its overall design and interactive philosophies mirror the Avenger Titan. That said though, they aren't exactly the same kind of game even despite the similarities. Yeah, they're both online multiplayer games, but Qanga isn't anywhere near as massive. Their game servers can only handle 50 players max, and there's only a few servers total, with a handful of official ones. Now that max player count is wild because of the size and scope of the game itself. The devs boast a gameplay area that consists of the solar system, on a 1:2 scale, meaning that the Earth that we start the game on is more or less the same Earth you and I are actually inhabiting, except the surface area is only some 255 million square kilometers. Imagine 50 players having free reign on the entire planet, and then also the rest of the solar system. So that limitation actually means the biggest difference between these two games. It makes Qanga more of a sandbox than a simulator. Of course, the game itself is still in extremely early access. The game's version at the time of recording is 0.0.17, and I take that to mean that the game is less than 5% done. They're looking at a 2027 release date? Maybe? Honestly, right now what we've got is just a skeleton of a game. Every system in the game is still rather raw and unpolished, from interactions to items to missions to progression, everything. So expect a lot of jank everywhere you look. For example, there's a really simple fetch contract in the first city that you spawn in. You don't really have to travel anywhere, really you just go from upstairs to downstairs. But when you get to the contract's marker, the items spawned under the terrain and you just can't complete it ever. Or there are times when if you turn off your speeder to go do whatever, like say you go to some POI, you won't be able to turn it back on when you want to leave. So there's lots of these little bugs everywhere that we've got to deal with. Here's a bigger issue though. There's tons of cities dotted all over the Earth, with the exception of one. They're all pretty much the exact same. I mean, it's the same layout, same NPCs, same missions, so once you've seen one, you've kind of seen them all. And on top of that, the code's very unoptimized, and really quite resource hungry, so the game can really struggle at times. Now, I'm not pointing this out to slam the devs or the game. Every game has bugs, and every early access game will definitely have world-breaking ones. What I am trying to say is that everything is in its baby version right now. You know, it's the absolute simplest form and completely imperfect. You know, expecting smooth gameplay or even complete game systems is pretty unrealistic at this point. Here's our character. He's a cyborg. And actually, everyone on the planet is a cyborg. The story is, you know, we were ruining our planet and making it impossible to live in. The temperatures kept rising, we were running out of resources, so we turned into digital consciousnesses that could be downloaded into cyborg bodies, which makes us functionally immortal, but it doesn't actually do anything about the Earth. That's still mostly a wasteland. He is a cyborg, as you can see, it just says cyborg. He doesn't even have a name, it's just cyborg. And he can be equipped with a bunch of different weapons and armor, and even clothing items like this neck and face. There's even space for a backpack, so we can have a bigger inventory. As you can probably guess, this is a much rarer weapon than this one, because of the color. You know, it's got that MMO color scheme going on. So gray weapons here. If you take a look in the top right corner of the little hover box, it says 0. That's basically our trash items. And then I recently got this shotgun, which is a level 3. It's orange, and presumably that means it's rare. I'm not exactly sure how much damage these weapons do. There's never really any kind of stat screen. Anyway, my inventory is full of junk, and I should probably put that stuff away, but I want to first go through these different tabs here. This phase tab is where we have character progression. So there is some experience as we kill stuff or do missions and do contracts. We will gain experience, and as we level up, we get phase points. As you can see, I've maxed out 4 of these already, meaning we're only 2 away from maxing out completely. And these all have pretty specific things. So for example, this general system just means we have plus 400 matter total. Matter is our hit points, so we want as much matter as we can get. So we've got this missions tab here, which honestly doesn't do much because the game only gives us 1 mission, and it's more like a tutorial than anything else. Hopefully they'll flesh this out as time goes on. But this contracts tab is really for NPC quests, and we can just see which contracts are around us just by going to the contracts tab. The missions mini tab under the contracts tab it's confusing because you'd think it'd be under missions, but this is just a log of our completed missions, although we can't really review them. It's just a list of it. The star map is, well, it's a map. nothing too fancy. We're here at this the Earth's capital, quote unquote. It's this giant walled city out in the middle of nowhere. If we zoom out, we'll see the entire Earth at half scale, and we can move it around. We can see all these cities. So let's look for something a little bit more familiar, maybe. So here is North America. This is really Dallas. This should be Cincinnati. Here's Toronto. Here's Chengdu. Beijing, which has been literally, utterly flooded. Anyway, that's the Earth. We can zoom out a little bit more. We can see here's the moon. Let's center that, zoom in. And yeah, this has a ton of locations too. And we can zoom out even more. And we can see here's the solar system. We can pretty much go to anywhere we want. Right, let's click on Mars and zoom right into it. At some point I want to come here. It looks like there's nothing to select, but it might just be because we haven't gone here yet. Probably when we arrive we'll see a bunch of different points, so we'll see. Let's try and... But yeah, other than that, this is our map, the city that we're in. What I'd like to do is get back to my vehicle, to my spaceship, and get into space. But we are a little bit far, although we should be able to drive down this road to get to our ship. Hopefully we can do that. The next tab over is assistance, even though it doesn't really do anything. See, it says here the location is invalid. I'm assuming that this is an online only thing. Statistics is just what you've done as a player. So here's enemies defeated, distances you've gone, what you've killed with, like what weapon you've killed stuff with, and where you've gone. As you can see, I haven't really done a whole lot. And finally, there's the social tab, which, we can make a clan, but I haven't made one because this is just a solo game. So the one big thing that this game really gives is the sense of exploration. Like there's the main highway. It kind of like spirals around, and this is just a pit stop, and it's kind of dark. Let's turn the flashlight on. And it looks like, a basic side of the road diner. Like here's the kitchen with like a little counter here. And it kind of sucks that there's almost no one out here. You'd hope that there'd be like a bunch of NPCs just kind of milling about, but I guess that just isn't in the cards right now. So that kind of makes this world feel rather empty, because most of this, there just isn't anything to interact with except in very, very specific places. Anyway, let's try and get down here. I want to try and go, I think, this way. We'll get in this car to drive around and see if we can get to our ship over there. What's really cool is that these seats are different. So, for example, if we interact on this end, we'll go into the driver's side. And if we interact here, we'll be in the passenger side. Right, let's get inside real quick. See? I'm now a passenger. Anyway, let's hop back in this guy. None of these are our vehicles, by the way. We're just kind of grabbing it because nothing stops us from actually doing this. I like how there's buses in the corner to kind of simulate the fact that this is a travel stop. Oh, I didn't know we'd be going off-road. Hopefully this will lead us back to a road somewhere. Okay, we ended up on the beach somehow, but that's okay. I think we can go up this way. Okay, we finally got onto a road. I'm hoping that this gets us to where we want to go. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it actually gets us there. Getting closer to our spaceship, that's for sure. I actually have to get up that way and go around. Oh boy, this is a large area. This entire city was actually handcrafted, I believe. So the developers spent the time putting all this stuff down. Even if some of these are like assets, like if that building was an entire asset, they still put the whole thing together, which is honestly kind of impressive. Just the amount of time that someone took to actually do this. 642 meters. So it's not too far away. I just don't know how to actually get there. We're getting closer. We're almost there, hopefully. Hopefully we're almost there. Maybe we should just take a bus over there. As you can see, there's a bunch of buses kind of flying around. Those are actually going to the different cities or to the different parts of the city. You see these red lines? These are actually the bus lines or tram lines. Let's see, this line goes to Liverpool. We should go to Liverpool. That would be really cool. Okay, we made it to the other side, and our ship's over there on that landing pad. We just have to get over to it. Alright, we made it. So let's grab this, retrieve, and yeah. Sorry, it's going to destroy the old one, but we need it. It certainly reminds me of the Avenger Titan in Star Citizen. But like even this like little wing swoop is very reminiscent of the Avenger Titan. The body also reminds me of the Eagle in Elite Dangerous. But let's actually go inside. And what really drives home the fact that it feels like Star Citizen is because of this. This very much mimics how Star Citizen ships are interacted with. And I don't agree that it should be like that. They should make this more unique. Just the entire experience of this feels very Titan. There's even a bed here. Right, let's get in the seat. Let's toggle it on. We can honk. Let's go up. So here's the experience of going from ground to space. And it's, it's not bad. And here we are. We made it to space, which is kind of cool. And now we start seeing the markers out there that we can travel to. Presumably that we can travel to. I haven't really done this in this game yet, so this is new for me, as it is probably for you. I'm not sure what the range of this ship is. I'm going to assume that the red ones we cannot reach. So we'll have to refuel somewhere. I honestly do not know. Let's go into warp mode and see if we can make it in one trip. Do we hold it down? Yes, we hold it down. Okay. And we just warp. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. I like that. So we kind of warp in a direction and have some slight control over the warp, or of where we're going. That's honestly kind of nice. So will it end us in the jump station? This is cool. This is really cool, to be perfectly honest. Let's try and go to the surface of Mars. Let's see what it's like down there. Oh, we can actually warp towards it. That's really, really nice. I thought we'd have to do this manually. That would have taken forever. It doesn't look like Mars has anything. Here, let's open the map. Oh, there's definitely places to go on here. Let's target that. Does that show up on our map? It does, wow. Okay, let's try and warp to it. Got a better view. I like how we can freely warp around. This is really nice. 318 kilometers, which we should be able to get there pretty quickly. No, no, you've gone too far. I really don't want to crash into the ground. This would be really shitty if we smashed into it going 3,000 kilometers an hour. Yeah, let's change our approach angle so we're not coming at it from 90 degrees. Let's even out and then turn around. I don't know about you, but I don't actually see a station. Maybe we're still too far away? Okay, so I'm seeing nothing. We kind of hit the ground a little hard there, but that's okay. Wait, are we still flying? Oh, vehicle broken. What are we gonna do now? I suppose there's nothing else to do except maybe... Oh, this is so far away. We are so doomed. We'll use our jetpacks to maybe soften our landing. We're gonna have to try it. That's all we can do. Ugh. Well, we made it onto Mars, but there's nothing. So I'm entirely not sure what we're supposed to do at this point. We're just kind of stranded out here. Our ship's way out there, just getting further and further away. And this is supposed to be a station of some kind. See, if we look at the map, we're actually right on top of a station. But it's just not here. Well, I guess among the many things that's incomplete about the game, this is one of them. Let's do a scan. What's that? Lithium? Okay. That's really all that is out there. Is lithium. Okay, since we were stuck way out in nowhere and had literally nowhere to go, we had no way to get off Mars. I had to use a console command in order to get back to Earth. Specifically, we went back to the spawn point where we started, or sorta. We actually start inside this building, but it spawned us back out here. Our ship's still way the hell out there. That's so funny, and it's still moving. Oh look, an NPC. It says it's in garage. No, it's not. It is way out in space. Yep. Let's destroy that one. Let's grab this one back. So at least we've got it back. There are two other ships in this game. Here's the Valkyra Explorer. We have the Passenger, and then there's the Explorer, which looks exactly the same for some reason. And then there's this Arizona Melrose, which looks really cool. Looks like a racing ship. We could buy this. So here's the inside. Here's like a little weapons and armor shop. Over there's kind of a shipping area. You can take up jobs here to deliver packages. Over here's the medical center. You can buy meds from this NPC. We can also sell stuff to her. We've got some junk here, like these sangline claws that we can get rid of. And this body, which we can get rid of. Yeah, let's sell them. We don't need them. Over here's the cloning labs, which is basically where we started the game. We actually started off coming out of this thing. And here's our storage. We can actually put away some of our stuff. There's a bunch of different NPCs here, which give you missions, like this guy. See, he'll say down at the bottom there, that contract dealer, hey, I have a contract for you. Cool, man, what you got? Kill all dangerous targets. We get some money, some experience, and a matter tank. Wow, this one's kind of good. Reach the refueling station and protect you from the infected while the aerial tank gets gas. Let's try that, because it's 20 grand, sure. So here's the weapons seller. He's got 3 different melee weapons, the stun baton, katana, and baseball bat. They work, I guess, but it's kind of hard to actually hit the enemies when they're that close to you. Bunch of ammo. Here's all of our Nash weapons. They're all gray. They're not the best. We do need a multi-tool. We don't have one of those yet, so let's grab that. Okay, let's equip our multi-tool. It goes here in the recycler slot. We actually have one too many pistols. So up here, upstairs on the second floor of this mall, basically, is the armor shop. Well, armor and clothing. And, you know, we can buy a bunch of different stuff. Up here's this pawn shop where we can sell a bunch of our stuff to, but although we don't really need to. Here's the bar, where we can, I guess, sort of dance. Oh man, I was hoping the barman would be selling drinks of some kind, but... Alright, let's go down to the parking garage and get our vehicle. We're not going to be flying, we're going to be taking our ground vehicle. We'll just go over here and summon our ride. I've unlocked the Melrose pickup, but you can also buy a bunch of different ones. This Atlas Pod Fury, which is basically just like a little 4x4. Here's a coupe. With a pickup, a sports car, an armed vehicle. It's got a little gun on the back of it, and a Gelix. Heck yeah, here's our pickup. Looks kind of sweet, right? I wonder if we can put stuff in the trunk. I don't think so. That would be really cool if we could. Alright, let's get on out of here. Let's try and get over to our mission. So as you can see, the world is pretty much in ruins. This city is just trashed. It's abandoned, it's a wasteland. There's just nothing here except zombies and sanglines. We don't really want to stick around, because we don't need to be here. Although, I'm sure if we explored it, we can find some pretty good loot in there. So doing a scan out here where there's actually more things to do, you'll see there's a bunch of icons that show up here. Unlike on Mars where we just saw like one lithium thing, there's actually a whole lot of things to do out here. Bunch of sangline nests, iron that we can mine, stone. We can actually see pretty far, like 15 kilometers I think. Alright, here we are, but I think I'm going to park a little bit over here so that we don't accidentally get our car wrecked. I like how we're cyborgs, like way in the future, but we're still using these old school weaponry. Like this is a Warsaw Pact weapon, like from the 1940s. I'm pretty sure we could have better weapons than this, but you know what? I ain't judging. Sometimes you just gotta have yourself a space AK. Okay, let's interact. Protect the gas tank. Let's get up on this thing. Let's do a scan. The heck? What was that? Oh, I see. What is that? I can hear something over there. Oh, cool. Look, a ship actually shows up. Probably should have brought more ammo, huh? What the? Oh, it's a big one. It's a big one. Why is this taking so long? Ah, we're out of ammo. Wow, we got it. Even though there's so many things out here. This is crazy. We have so little ammo left. Ow. Dude. Get away from me. Why are there so many? You know what? There's a never-ending stream of them. Let's pick up all this and get out of here. Ow. Ow. No, we died. No. Okay, so dying gets us back. Wait, this is unfamiliar. Are we in the big city? Oh, we're back in the big city, which means if we want to get back to where we were, I think over here? Yep. So our corpse is way over here. We're gonna have to get back to that. Because right now we have nothing. Like, we are back to square one. So dying, we lose all our stuff. It's still back on our corpse. We have to do a corpse run. And it's kind of far away. It is extremely far away from us. So we are 2,846 kilometers away from where we died. Here we are back at our spawn point, so it's only 3 kilometers away. This is probably better for us. I had to do a TP spawn so that we came back here. So as you can probably see down at the bottom right corner, our FPS is at 30, 40-ish. It's very, very unoptimized, and so it'll be pretty janky sometimes. Again, they're still developing this, so everything is still in motion, if that makes sense. You know, if we want to help them build this game, I think we should give them good criticism. I think they do have a Discord which we can join. I'll link that down in the description. And we should give our feedback there. So far, I feel like they're doing well. The only things that I have issues with are the interfaces, which feel too much like Star Citizen. And I get it. I understand why it's like that. It's because it's a familiarity. Get this car started. And let's get back to our dead body. Let's get ammo first. Alright, now let's get on the road. At least they're no longer there, thankfully. At least we don't have to deal with them anymore. We can pick up all this stuff. Get our inventory back. We didn't lose anything. We got a bunch of infected heads, which is nice. Let's pick up all this stuff because it's worth a lot. Hey! Jackass. There's just so much littered everywhere. Wow. This is honestly a gold mine. So I'm gonna pick all this stuff up. Alright, let's get out of here. There's just so much nonsense. Okay, so cities that way, we can kind of see it. I marked this refuel station, so it's easier for us to actually navigate back to it. Alright, so like I was saying earlier, you just go over here to refill your fuel. We are actually pretty full up already, so we don't actually need to do anything, but just being here refills our fuel. Let's take all of our junk and sell them over here. This is going to get us a lot of cash, wow. So not only did we get 20 grand for that mission, but we're also going to sell 10 grand's worth of materials. That feels kind of nice to have 65 grand. Now we can go do more stuff, like buy things, I guess. But yeah, all in all, it's a very interesting game. There's actually a lot of things to do, even if there isn't a whole lot of variety, if that makes sense. Like, you know, for the most part, you know, missions are the same. Go to this location, destroy this thing, grab that, then deliver it over here. So not a whole lot of variety in that sense. But I think what matters is that it's there at all. Like this, again, is just a skeleton of a game, and this is just showing us what is coming. Like there's going to be a lot more missions, a lot more equipment, a lot more different cities. The problem, of course, is that they're a very small development team with a very limited budget, and so they can't really go all in on this game quite yet. I can understand if this is not a game you want to get into right now, especially considering how choppy things feel. Like we'll go from 60 FPS to 30 FPS in, like right now it's 20, it's just chugging. You know, it's, like I said, it's very unoptimized, there's a lot of bugs, it's a very wide but shallow pool, kind of like Elite Dangerous. But there is a lot to explore. Like, you know, there's ruined cities all around us, there's all kinds of crazy POIs with dangerous enemies. There's plenty for us to do. We can go fly out in space, we can go visit Mars and get stranded. And I don't think we should necessarily judge this for how rough it is currently. It's going to improve over time, at least as long as we continue to support it. I believe it's only $20 on the Steam store page, so at the very least that makes this a worthwhile game. But again, keep in mind, if you're going to buy this game, this is mostly to help support the developers in fleshing out this entire solar system much more. And this game has a lot of potential to be a space sandbox. You know, there's a lot of room. This entire place, imagine this with only 50 people max. We could literally build a base right on top of that mountain overlooking all this, and that'd be ours, quote unquote. Which I didn't even get into the whole build mode. Like I myself haven't even tried to do building, but it looks pretty robust from what I've seen online. You know, I imagine there could be times when we can build entire cities. Now, one final comparison I want to make with Star Citizen. Originally, Star Citizen was supposed to also provide private servers, so that we could enjoy Star Citizen either as a solo or with our tight-knit group, and we wouldn't have to deal with everyone else, right? We don't have to deal with pirates, we don't have to deal with griefers, we don't have to deal with anyone messing up our bunker runs or cargo runs. Unfortunately, the way Star Citizen has changed in scope, I feel like it's almost impossible for it to be deployed as a private server. And so maybe this game is the next best alternative to having that kind of universe. We've got an entire solar system to mess around with, and with impunity. Like, there's nothing stopping us from recreating entire cities or even countries if we want. You know, granted, if we have enough time and resources to do such a thing. So even if you're not going to play the game because of how early it is, that's okay. I still feel like your money goes to the developers and helping them create the game to flesh it out more, so that in the future you could get into it. Anyway, I hope you found that helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.